Hello there once again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Educate. In our previous video, we introduced the concepts of data structures. We looked at the list and we made a couple of examples. This is basically a recap of what we did, and today we're doing lesson 2. We are doing the operations on lists. Okay, so basically there are certain operations, or you can say there are certain methods, or you can say there are certain functions that one can do to collections, but particularly we are focusing on the list. Remember guys, that for now we are still focusing on the list. So we want to see what operations or what methods or what behaviors can you associate with the lists. Okay, so let me just start with a list of numbers and say that I've got a list here. Let me just call it list 1. In list 1, remember, it must have square brackets, and I'm going to put a couple of numbers, the numbers 3, the numbers 5, the numbers 7, the numbers 9. So this is a homogeneous list that is consisting of only integers. Remember, when you say that the list is homogeneous, it simply means that it has got what? It has got only one data type. The items or the elements stored within that list are of only one data type. For example, this list 1 is a list of all integers. There is no string, there is no float. Okay, so this on this homogeneous list 1, we can do the first operation, which is to determine the size of a list. Okay, so when we are talking about the size of a list, the size of a list actually describes how many items or how many elements are found in a list. So when you're talking about the size, when you say how big is the list, we are talking about how many items are found in the list. For example, list 1 has got 1, 2, 3, and 4 items. We have got 4 integers inside list 1, so it has got 4 items. So we can say that its size is 4. Okay, so basically the size of list 1 is 4 just by counting one by one. But now remember, we are not always going to all be the user is not going to have access to the code. So basically the user cannot really come and count each and every item with how many items are here. Rather, you can make the program to give the user how many items are found in the list. Okay, how do I mean? Let's say we're going to use this method that is known as the len. Okay, so if I'm going to say len and I'm going to say len of list 1, this function, it represents the length of the list. It kind of gives an idea of how many items are found in the list. So this is length list 1. So list 1 serves as an argument. So you put the list that you want to evaluate its size, you put it in the round brackets, or you can say you put it in the parentheses. So this is the length of list 1. The length of list 1 is the same thing as saying the size of the list. Is the same thing as saying how many items are found in the list. How many items or how many elements are found in the list. But now if I'm going to print this out, it's not going to give me anything in the console. You can say that I printed this out, but now my console doesn't really have anything. Let me just rerun it. You see my console doesn't really show anything. Why is my console not showing anything to the user? Because I didn't print anything to the user. Okay, of course. So if I want to print the size of this list, I'm just going to put the print function here, and I'm going to say print the length of list 1. So print the length of list 1. So the moment I implement this print function, I'm just going to print the length of list 1. I expect the program to give me an output, which will give me the size of the list, how many elements are found in the list. If I'm going to run this program, you can see that my output there in the console, it is 4. Why is it 4? Because there are 4 items that are found in the list. Okay, so if I say print the length of list 1, I'm going to get 4. So basically the length of a list kind of gives me an idea of how many items or how many elements are found inside the list. But for you to be more efficient here, instead of composing functions multiple times, you can just assign a variable to this length of list 1. Okay, so for efficiency, I'm just going to assign a size, and then I'm going to say this variable known as size, I'm going to assign it to the length of list 1. We already know that if we evaluate the length of list 1, I'm going to get 4. So in other words, the size here, this variable size, it has got 4. That is its value. So if I say print size, I'm going to still get the same output, which is 4. This is very good because when you want to make your program more efficient, it is better for you to store all of these information inside a variable. Then you can print that variable rather than printing this whole thing itself. Okay, your code is going to have a lot of errors. The syntax is going to be overwhelming. So here, if I print the size will give me the length of list 1, which is the number of items found in the list. What if I add more items? Let's say I add 8 and I add 0, I add 4. So I've now increased the size of my list in the program. If I'm going to run in the console, now my output is going to be 7. Now the size is now 7 because now my list contains 7 items. In this case, it contains 7 integers. So this can also work with strings as well. If I just say I make a list of strings, okay, let me just say string list, and string list I'm going to put a couple of strings such as Philani, and I'm going to put another string which is going to be Sandile, and I'm going to put another string which is going to be Chantel. So I've got 3 strings here: Philani, Sandile, Chantel. So we have got 3 items. So if I'm going to print the length of this list, let me just say I want to print the length of the string list, str list. Okay, so you say length and then you put the list that you want to find its size as an argument. You put it as an argument, or you put it in the brackets, in the round brackets, in the parentheses of this length function. So if I'm going to print this out, I'm going to get 3 in the console. Remember, this 7 here is an output for the size of list 1, the one that we did prior. And then this 3 here, it is telling me that in the string list, str list, this variable here, having Philani, Sandile, Chantel, the size is 3. Why is the size 3? It's because we're having 3 data items. We're having 3 string items. We have got Philani, we've got Sandile, we've got Chantel. How do we differentiate them? We put a comma. Remember, this comma, it separates the elements inside the list. So this is known as the length function. It is used to determine the size. Okay, so that's number 1. Determines. So this one determines the size of string list. Okay, so now let me just go through another method. We can test for a membership. Okay, so we can test for membership. So we can test for membership in a list. So when we say that we are testing for membership in the list, we want to try and find out whether an item is part of a list or is not part of a list. So I'm still going to use the same list, which is these 2 lists here. So I'm just going to copy them down here. Let me just copy list 1 and string list. I'm gonna just copy these 2 and I'm going to use them here as well. Okay, so that you can see them easily. Okay, so we've got list 1 and we've got str list. Right now, if I want to try and talk about membership here, I'm gonna say that 3, 5, 7, 9, 8, 0, 4, they are members of list 1. Why do I say that they are members of list 1? Because they are items found in list 1, or they are items stored in list 1. So basically you can say 3 is a member of list 1, 5 is a member of list 1, 7 is a member of list 1, and so forth until 4. Similarly, in this string list, I can say that Philani is a member of string list. I can say Sandile is a member of str list. Let me just call it that. I can say Chantel is a member of str list. But now here I can say it for just from analyzing with my own eyes, but how can I make the program to be able to determine whether an item is found in a list or is not? So we are going to use the in keyword. So we're going to use the in keyword. So I'm going to use this with a print function so that the user can be able to see whether an item is found in the list or not. So if I say print 3 in list 1, so the keyword here is in. So I'm going to say print item in the list. That's the syntax here. So print item in the list. I'm using the print function because I want the user to be able to see the outcome, right? So if I say 3 in list 1. If I can ask you guys, is 3 found in list 1? Or can I say, is 3 a member of list 1? Yes, that is correct and that is true. So basically this will actually return a Boolean value of true. So the output of the program is going to be true. So basically when you're testing for membership in a list, it gives an output of a Boolean value of either true or false. If it is true, it means that this element 3 or this item 3, it is indeed found in list 1. But if it is a false Boolean expression, if I'm going to run the console, let me just say I put any other thing and say that a print, let me just say print 11 in list 1. So you can see that clearly list 1 does not really have 11 in it. It doesn't have the item 11, the integer item 11 in it. But if I say print 11 in list 1, it is a false Boolean expression. Okay, it's going to give me false here in the console. Why does it give me false? It is because the number 11 or this integer 11, it is not part of list 1. It is not a member of list 1. So when we are testing for a membership, we just use the in keyword and we also print the output so that the user can be able to see whether this is found or this is not found. This can be used so much when you're applying this in real life. For example, when you've got a spreadsheet having a list of names, let's say you want to find your marks and you are 400 learners on the spreadsheet and you want to find your marks. You use the search button. When you search your name, and if you are in the list, we're gonna be able to see you. If you are not in the list, we are not going to be able to see you. So do you kind of get the sense which this actually applies? The logic is the one that is used for us to be able to see whether an item is found in a list of items or it is not found in the list of items. I hope that makes sense. So you can test for membership in a list. You can test for membership and it can either give you a true or a false. Okay, let me just give you a way of applying this if you are so keen in programming. Let me just say here, if 3 in list 1, print I am happy today. Okay, let me just say print 3 is found in list 1. Okay, so since you guys know already the conditional statements from Python basics, basically if I say if 3 in list 1, print 3 is found in list 1, it means that the program is actually going to evaluate this expression. This is a Boolean expression, 3 in list 1. If I ask you 3 in list 1, is it a true or a false expression? You are going to say it's a true expression because 3 is indeed a member of list 1. So it means that my program is going to definitely print this and say 3 is found in the list. Okay, so if 3 is in list 1, print 3 is found in the list. Okay, let me just use the string list for example and say now, let me say I want to search, let me just say I want to search my name to say that is my name found in the list here that is provided. Let's just say this is a list of let's just say members. Let me just say UIH members. Okay, this is a list known as UIH members. The UIH members list has got Philani, Sandile and Chantel. Now we have got a spreadsheet and you don't know whether you are in the list or you are not in the list, but you want to use the program to show you that. So how can I do that? I can just say here, let's say I want to put a search button for the user of the program so that they can search their name. So if I want some user input, I'm going to use an input function. You guys already know an input function. You are now old. So if I'm gonna say a input name, let me just say name is gonna be input search for your name, and I'm gonna put columns like this. And remember the input function, it allows the user to input a string. Okay, so whatever input the user is gonna put is gonna be a string. All right, so if I'm gonna input my name and I search my name, am I going to find it or not? Okay, I can just come here and say that if the user input, remember that the user input here is going to be stored in the variable name. That is why we are assigning it to name. Please guys, revisit the input function before watching what I'm doing right now, because basically you're gonna get confused. input search your name. So this is an input function that prompts the user to put in their name, to search their name. And if they search their name, and that whatever input that they're gonna put on the console is gonna be stored in this variable name. Okay, so now if the input that they have put in the output in the console, if the name is in the list of UIH members, okay, then you can say print the user is found. User is found. Okay, gonna make it a string, of course. Print user is found. This thing, what is it doing? Okay, print user is found. Let me just fix the syntax there. Quick. Okay, user is found, and then close quote. Remember, guys, you can use a single quote or you can use double quotes whenever you want to print that string. So what is this program going to do? If the user input, or the name that the user is gonna put when they're gonna search this program, if it is equal, or if it is a member of UIH members, or if it is an item found in the list, then it's gonna say user is found. But if it's not found, let me just say else you're gonna print user is not found. Else you're gonna print user is not found in the list. Goodbye. Let me just say goodbye. So it means here we have got a list of UIH members. We've got a list of UIH members, and the list contains Philani, Sandile, and Chantel. Maybe this is a list, this is an official list of the members that are found. Okay, but now you want to try your chances and try to search if your name is found or not. So the program here will allow you to put in your name or to search your name here. And when you search your name, if the name is a member in UIH members, means that if the name is found in UIH members, remember the name here is the input that you have put, right? So if name in UIH members, print user is found. So remember this, if name in UIH members is a Boolean expression, it can either be true or false depending on the user input. Okay, so if the user puts in a name that does not correspond to any of those items, then it is definitely not going to be a true condition. Okay, but this condition is only true if the user input name, it is actually corresponding to one of the items found there. So that's how we apply this. So if I'm going to print this, and just my console is going to prompt me to search for your name. This is the prompt from the console. Let me just say search the name Philani, because I already know that it is found within the list of UIH members. And then I'm going to say enter. It's going to say user is found. Why is it going to say user is found? It's because indeed my input Philani, it is an item found in UIH members. But let's say I put in something else. Let me just say I say Digane. Let me just say I search Digane. It is definitely going to say user is not found in the list. Goodbye. It is because Digane, it is not a member of a list. Okay, the input name, which is Digane, it is not an element found in this particular list. That is how spreadsheets work, guys. That's how you are able to search your name and probably find your marks or something like that. But basically, the logic of spreadsheets, it is using this thing of testing for membership in a list or in a collection. Okay, so I hope that you guys can be able to apply this later, and I will give you a project maybe at the end of this video so that you guys can apply this. Okay, let me just say it's fine. Let me just retain this and say let me make it a comment. Okay, so I want the program to ignore this statement so that I can proceed with my lesson. So I'm gonna make it a comment. So I'm just gonna make it a multi-line comment using these triple quotes. So if I use triple quotes, it's gonna be a multi-line comment, so it's not going to evaluate all of this anymore. Okay, you guys know that from Python basics. Let's just do one more operations on the list. There are many other, but now I think let's just continue. If you are interested in the video, continue watching. So now let's see, how do you add an item at the end of a list, right? Let's add an item at the end of a list. So let me just say I've got a predefined list, and my list is gonna be list 7, and the list 7 is gonna have what? It's gonna have the items 4, 6, 8, 9. Okay, so this is a list of integers having 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so it's a list of integers having four integers, 4 items in total. So this is the size of the list, is 4 items, or it is 4. That's the size, that's the length of the list. All right, so now let me say just I want to add another item to the list. Let me just say here I want to add another item. I'm going to use the append method. So I'm just going to write list 7 again, and I'm going to say dot. Okay, list 7 dot append. So there's this method known as append. So if I say dot operator and I put append, it means I want to add an element at the end of the list. All right, so if I want to add the element maybe 6, it means that since my list here, it was saying 4, 6, 8, 9, it means that I'm going to add 6 at the end of a list. After this 9, I'm going to add 6. Now let me just print my list 7 and see if it has been modified or not. Okay, so if I'm gonna print that, well, let me just rerun the program with updates. Okay, so if I'm gonna print that, look at this, the output will give me 4, 6, 8, 9, 6 again. Now the size becomes bigger. That's why we say that lists are mutable. Lists, they are mutable. You can change them, you can add items to them. Okay, you can implement methods to add items, to remove items. You can replace items. All of those are methods, or all of those are behaviors that you can do on lists. All right, so basically here, let's see. Okay, so basically here, what's happening, I had a list only having 4, 6, 8, 9, but now because I've used the append method means you are adding an item at the end of a list. Okay, an item at the end of a list. So if I say append 6, it's going to only add this element, which is 6. So now if I'm going to print list 7 again, it's just going to give me back 4, 6, 8, 9, 6. So now my list has got an extra 6 at the end. Now look at the output carefully. My list has got an extra 6 at the end. It is because I've used the append method, add to the end. So now here is a restriction. The append method cannot really copy into a new list. How do I mean? Let me say I want to create a new variable, call it new list, and I say this new list is gonna be list 7 dot append 9. Okay, so let me just remove this append 6 for now, for a reason. All right, let me just say append 10, just to make it a different number. So what did I do here? I have said I'm going to add 10 to the end of a list 7. Okay, I'm going to add the element 10 or the item 10 to the end of the list 7, right? And now I'm going to assign it into a new variable known as new list. This is known as copying. When you are copying a list, it simply means that you are going to create a new list by taking the old one and doing something to it. In this case, you took the old list, which is list 7. So this is our old list. And what did you do to it? You added 10. Then you stored that in a variable new list. Now the problem is that if I print new list here, if I come and print new list, my program is going to let me just fix this. Okay, my program is going to give me a none. Why is my program output none? It is because you cannot really copy the list. Okay, these list methods, they restrict copying. You're actually updating list 7 here. You cannot create a new list and assign it. It can only print something if you only print list 7. If I print list 7, it will give me an appended list. It's going to give me a list that has got 10 at the end. Why is it having 10? It's because I have added 10, right? I've updated list 7. But if I print this new list in line 42, it's going to give me none. Why is it giving me none? It's because lists, they actually restrict copying. Okay, it restricts copying. Basically, this append method on a list, it updates the list itself. So it updates the list, so you do not really need to assign it into a new variable. If you assign it into a new variable, it cannot work. So these lists, they kind of restrict the copying. So basically, this updated list cannot be copied into a new list or into a new variable. You cannot copy it. You cannot make a new variable out of list 7. So even if I say print new list, my program is gonna say none. It's because new list you cannot really copy. That's what I'm trying to say. You guys understand me now? You cannot really copy a list in this manner, right? Okay. So this is known as an append method. So I can keep on appending more things. I can keep on adding more things to the list. Okay. Let me just say here, after adding 10, let me append another thing. Let me just say on my list 7, I want to append 23. Remember, I do not assign this to another variable, guys. It's gonna give me a none there. So if I say list 7 append 23, it means that this list, remember, first I appended 10. It means that I've added 10 to the end of a list. That's why when I printed it here in line 43, it gave me a list now with a 10 at the end. It's because I added a 10 at the end of the list. But now when I say list 7 append 23, I'm adding 23 again. So after this 10 here, I expect to find a 23. Print this outcome. Let me just run it in a new terminal. Sorry. All right. What's this thing doing? Okay. I didn't print anything. Sorry, I didn't print anything. All right. I just appended. It means that to this list, after printing this list 7, I added 23. But because I didn't print the new list, I don't get anything. So if I say print list 7, this is definitely going to give me something, because list 7 now has been appended. We have now added 23. So the print function is very important, guys. If you don't print anything, the console will not show you anything, and you probably think that your program is wrong. So here, print list 7, it means that the list 7, I've appended, or I've added 23 at the end. So this is 4, 6, 8, 9, 10. This is 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 23 now. So now my list has now a 23 at the end because I've added 23. So you can append items to a list. You can add items to a list. Okay. We can even use this to create a shopping cart. Let me just make a practical application for you so that you can see that you are not doing this as a theoretical subject. Okay. So what am I going to do now? I'm going to create a list, and I'm going to say that it's a cart, and I'm going to say it's an empty list. So a list is allowed to be empty. A list can have 0 elements. If you try to determine the size of this list known as cart, it is going to have 0 elements. It doesn't have any item in it. All right. So if I start with an empty list and I want the user to add items to the list, what am I going to do? I'm going to say, I'm just going to say user input. Let me just say it's going to be user input. I'm going to create a new variable known as user input using the input function. Remember, the input function allows the user to put in something. Okay. So enter your product. Let me just say the user wants to purchase a product, and this product will be added to the cart. Okay. And then now I'm going to say that the user input, remember the user input is always a string, guys. Whatever the user will input in the console is going to be a string. So this user input, this input function will prompt the user to enter a certain value, and they're going to enter the product that they want to add to the cart, to the shopping cart. And then now I come here and I say that if, okay, without using conditional statements, let me just say cart dot append user input. Cart dot append user input. It means that whatever it is the user entered, is going to be added to the cart. It's going to be an element that's going to be added at the end of this cart. So if I'm going to just say now print the cart list, I want to see now how the cart has changed after entering a certain input. Okay, let me just say run my program. Okay, so my program here is saying enter your product. Okay, saying enter your product. Now let me say I want to enter Samsung Galaxy S23. So this is the product that I want to purchase. I put it in and I say enter. It's going to print the cart Samsung Galaxy S23. So if I say print cart, the cart is no longer empty. Remember, at first the cart was empty, right? It didn't have any items in it. But now it's no longer empty. It is because I've used the append method. I've added something to it. What did I add? Which element or which item did I add? I've added the user input. Okay, I've added the user input. Adding the user input, what does it mean? It simply means whatever the user puts in is going to be added to the list. Okay, so if I now print the list again, it's now been updated. It now has got a new element, which is Samsung Galaxy S23. So this is known as an append method. Okay, what if I want to add multiple items? Because in this case, I was able to only add one item, which is Samsung Galaxy S23, and I wasn't able to continue. I can use a while loop there. You guys already know while loops now. So I can use a while loop there and just say while. If I just say while true, remember the while true loop simply means that this program will just continue running, and it will continue running, and it will continue running forever and ever. Okay, so it will continue asking the user to enter the product that they want to purchase. Okay, to continue telling the user to enter. Okay, this is while true with the capital letter. Sorry for the syntax there. So you guys already know the while true loop, so you guys won't have problems here. So now it's gonna say enter product, and if I enter the product and I say a Samsung Galaxy, now my cart has got Samsung Galaxy. Now it's going to prompt me to enter the product again. Why is it doing that? It's because I'm doing a while loop. A while loop actually says repeat everything. If I say while true, it means that repeat everything forever and ever and ever and ever. So you guys should go and learn about the while loop in Python basics before watching the video that I'm making right now. So it's now saying enter product again. Let me enter another product and say I want to add an iPhone. Let me say add an iPhone 17 Pro Max Giga. Hey, now what is it going to do? Now my new cart is going to have Samsung Galaxy, and it's also going to have iPhone 17 Pro Max Giga. Why is my cart now becoming bigger? It's because I'm adding more products to it. This will continue forever and ever because I'm using a while true loop. It means that this loop will run forever and ever and ever without stopping. Let me run it again for a last time. I enjoy adding things now. Let me add another product. Let me just say, just exit this terminal. Just exit this terminal and create a new one and run this this program, right? And just run this program. Okay, this is still saying search for your name. All right, so enter the product. Let me just add multiple products here. Let me start by adding premium. Now my list has got premium. If I say print the cart list, I now have premium. Let me add another product. Let me say add Samsung. Now my cart has got premium and Samsung. It's because I'm adding multiple items. Let me add another item. Let me say Hisense. Now my list is now becoming bigger. Premium, Samsung, Hisense. It's because the user keeps on inputting something, and this will continue happening forever and ever. Let me add another one. Let me say I want to add a number 67. It can still work. It's gonna add a number 67, but remember, any user input is a string. It is treated as a string by the program. But now if I want this while loop to break, I can now implement such other conditions. So the challenge number one that you're gonna do, make sure that you find a way to allow the user to only put 5 products, because this one is allowing me to put more than 5 products, because I can keep on adding more things. Let me say just I add LG TV. Now my list is becoming bigger. Now my list has got LG TV. Remember, I'm printing the cut list. It was empty at first, but now it is becoming bigger as I'm now putting more information. Okay, so now let me say I want to add 50777 laptop. I don't know if that exists, but if I do that, my list becomes bigger, infinitely so. So the first challenge, go and make sure that this list allows you to only add 5 items to it using a while loop. That's your task. If you do it, it's for your own good. If you don't, I'm not involved in that. I don't have to. Okay, I'm joking. Okay, so now let's do the other method. I think it's gonna be the last method for this video, which is to remove an item. Right, we're gonna use the remove method. Okay, so the remove method, let me just say, make this a comment so that the program does not really run it. Okay, I'm gonna make it a comment so that the program will ignore this while loop, so the program will no longer be looking at this while loop. Now let me do this other method. It is to remove an element. So remove an element from a list. Okay, so if I remove an element from a list, let me just create a list here and say, let me just use the list that I have already. I've got this list 7, right? List 7 has got these items, which is a 4689, right? 4689. Let me just make these to be comments, all of these, so that the program does not really run all of this. I don't want this anymore. You guys already understood what I said, I know. So let me just say, make all of these to be comments. Okay, now this is list 7 and I want to remove an element or an item from the list. Remember, an element is something found in the list, the data, the information stored in the list, and we separate different elements using commas. I've been repeating this for years and years. So now if I want to remove 6 from the list, what will happen? I'm going to just say list 7 dot remove. So I use the remove method. So this remove method, remember, you're gonna put the element that you want to remove. If I want to remove 6, I'm gonna say remove 6 there. And if I say print list 7 again, print list 7 again, then I'm going to get a list that has removed the 6. So if I just run that in my console, it's going to let me just save and run it. It's going to give me 489. So it's going to give me 489. Why is it giving me 489? Because my list had 4689. It has removed the 6. This remove, it says remove an element from the list, remove an item from the list. You can even use strings to do this. If you have got a string list, you can remove a certain element from the list. Okay, so this remove function or this remove method, it actually removes a certain element from the list. So if I now print my new list 7, I have now removed 6 from it. So now my list will now be 489, consists of only 489 because I have removed the 6 from the list. That makes sense, right? So now what if I have got a couple of items and say I've got let me just say 9, 10, 4, 7, 6. Right now my list is now having more items here. So my list is now having more items, and some of those items, they're actually duplicates. Some of those items are duplicates. We have got 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 4, 7, 6. We have got 2 6s. We have got 2 4s. What if I say remove 4? In this, I say remove 4. If I say remove 4 from list 7, it means that it is going to remove 4. But now the challenge is we've got 2 4s here. We've got 4 here at the first position. We also have 4 here on this position here. We have got 2 4s here. So since we're having 2 4s, is it going to remove all of them, like for real, but I'm just only removing only one element? Which 4 is going to be removed here? It is the first one. So basically the remove method, it removes, let me just say, it removes the first occurrence. It removes the first occurrence of an element from a list. So if I use the remove method, it means that it's going to remove the first item, the first occurrence of a certain item in a list. For example, this 4 it occurs 2 times, or it happens 2 times, or we've got two 4s, we've got the same thing. This is 4, this is also 4, right? So now which one is going to be removed? Is the first one, because the remove method, it actually removes the first occurrence, or the first part, the first number of this list. So the first occurrence. So if I'm going to print my new list now, my new list is going to start with 6. Remember, the list was starting with 4, but it's going to start with 6. It's because I've removed this first 4. What about this 4 here that is between 10 and 7? It's not going to be removed. It will just remain there. You can see we still have got a 4 here between the number 10 and the number 7, the integer 10 and the integer 7. We still have got a 4, but because we removed the 4 here, it only removed the first occurrence of 4. So basically the remove method, it removes the first occurrence of an item. It doesn't necessarily remove all occurrences of an item. Okay, so now thank you so much for watching this video. I know it's very long and very fun as well. Stay tuned for our next video. We're going to be continuing with these methods. We're going to do other methods. We're going to do other methods to be able to continue. But you guys should just know that these methods are very important and know how to apply them in real life programs. Design your own programs. Okay, the first challenge that I've already given you, it is to make sure that a user can add only 5 items to the cart. Okay, so I will send you a link in the description for you to be able to upload that project. If you do, it's your good choice. I'm going to evaluate it. If you don't, that's your own choice as well. No one is going to evaluate it. Thank you so much for watching this wonderful video, wonderful ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Tell your friends to also stay tuned.